Opening ceremony of the 29th session of the Conference of the Parties, the 19th session of the Conference of the Parties, serving as the meeting of the parties to the Kyoto Protocol, and the 6th session of the Conference of the Parties, serving as the meeting of the parties to the Paris Agreement. May I please ask everyone to take their seats.
A lot of green projects that SOCAR is very interested in. There are a lot of joint ventures that could be established, potential joint ventures. Our SOCAR trading is trading oil and gas all over the world, including in Asia. So to me, these are the possibilities to explore. But in any case, this is something that you need to be talking to SOCAR, and I would be happy to create a contact between yourself and them, your team and their team, so that they can start discussion.
and gentlemen, may I please ask you all to take your seats? We are about to begin. May I please ask you all to take your seats? We are about to begin. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, may I kindly request you to get seated so that we may begin the proceedings. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, kindly take your seats as we are about to begin. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Peace be upon you all.
It gives me great pleasure to declare open the 29th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And it is my honor to address you now to deliver my final remarks as the COP President. Your Excellencies,
Good morning,
colleagues,
distinguished guests, ladies
friends,
and gentlemen.
and members
Indeed,
of every
It
delegation.
gives me great pleasure
To be here
It
is a great pleasure
this year's Oil and Money Conference
to join you here in Baku
and to be amongst
for the opening of
many of my
COP29.
dear friends,
And let me
partners,
begin by thanking our
colleagues.
hosts for their warm welcome and generous hospitality.
this year's theme,
And
Adapting to Uncertainty, is in fact both timely
by being here today,
and, in
we
my
have
view,
all made
very
a
fitting.
choice to make a difference.
and without question,
and as
actually
I prepare
resonates
to hand
deeply
over the COP presidency,
with everyone here in this room.
I urge you all to prove once
Every day,
again
we deal
we
with
can
factors
unite,
we don't have much control
act,
over,
and deliver.
from geopolitics, hurricanes, to destructive technology, all of which shape demand,
Excellencies,
impact supply,
friends, we meet
and of course,
at a time of
affect
complexity and conflict.
in
And
short,
against this backdrop,
we live in a
allow me to
world
say that
where we must constantly
in the
manage the
United Arab
unpredictable,
Emirates will always
which
choose
makes planning for what we can't
partnership
predict
over polarization,
even more critical.
dialogue over division,
In the United
and
Arab
peace
Emirates,
over
we have taken this
provocation.
notion to heart. We proactively plan our destiny rather than allow external factors dictated for us.
President of COPE29.
We strive
I have
not to
been
fear
humbled
the
by
unknown,
the experience.
but we
And
embrace
I
it
stand before you today
for the potential
with a deep
it
sense
can
of
bring.
purpose,
and we
pride,
study
and gratitude.
future trends closely to
By
draw
delivering
out
the
the
historic,
insights and opportunity
comprehensive,
they can
balanced,
essentially offer.
and groundbreaking UAE
We have
consensus
capitalized on the
we
future by building bridges
what
to
many
other nations
thought was
and forging
impossible.
business partnerships
And
beyond
for this,
our borders.
I have many people to thank.
By applying these
I
principles
want first
to our
acknowledge
industry,
His Highness Sheikh
the oil and
Mohammed bin
gas
Zayed
industry,
Al Nahyan,
or energy at large,
President
it is clear that despite
President
the
of
many
United
unknowns,
Arab Emirates,
there are some enduring certainties that together
and
we can
unwavering support
take
gave us the
advantage.
confidence to aim for the highest
Most importantly,
ambition. I owe a huge debt
the world
of
needs
gratitude
much more
to the
energy,
entire
with global
United
demand
Arab
growing
Emirates
25%
leadership,
by
and
2040.
in particular the higher
That is
committee
almost
led by His
the same
Highness Sheikh
amount of
Abdullah bin
energy
Zayed Al Nahyan,
currently used by North
Deputy
America
Prime Minister and
and
Minister
Europe
of Foreign
combined.
Affairs of the UAE. I would also
While
like
mature
to
markets
acknowledge
will continue to be
COP28's
very
advisory
important,
committee, our ministerial pairs,
most new demand will come from
all
outside
constituency
the
groups,
OECD,
the NGO community,
particularly
and of course,
across South
the entire
and East Asia.
COP28 team.
By
And
2040,
we recognize
our products
the
will
tireless
continue to be
efforts
essential
of our
to the
high-level
global
champions, Razan Al-Mubarak,
Oil and
our
gas
youth champion,
will supply
Shamma
over half
Al-Mazroui.
the world's energy needs. Renewables and nuclear will make up
I would also
27%,
like to thank
and coal
my dear
will fall
colleague,
to
Simon
22%.
Steele and the UNFCCC
Oil
Secretariat,
Will remain
who served
critical
as my faithful
to the
guides
transportation sector.
throughout this whole process.
Despite
And of
improved
course,
fuel
to
efficiency
all of you,
and the
the
incremental
negotiators
growth
here today,
of light
I
electric
thank you
vehicles,
for showing the world
oil demand
what real,
will grow 60%
tangible progress
for aviation
looks like.
and shipping,
You
and
united
20%
all parties
for heavy
to
trucks
move
by
forward
2040.
together. You proved
And when you include petrochemicals,
can
set
move
to
the
grow
dial.
150% by 2040.
Determination
The state of the hydrocarbon
conquered
industry
doubt,
is strong,
and your hard work
and the
paid
outlook,
off with the
as
first
far as we're concerned,
after first
is very
for
bright.
climate progress.
In short,
And
oil and
progress
gas will continue to be the
when
bedrock
gavel came down
for the
on
energy
UAE
supplies for
consensus.
decades to come.
In the months since
Capturing the
COP28,
opportunity of this future
initiatives we
growth
launched
is
have
the core
gathered
mission
real
of any
momentum
corporate
and real
strategy.
pace. The world is set
For us,
to break another record
the Abu Dhabi
in
National
renewable
Oil
energy
Company,
growth this year,
ADNOC,
adding over
the emerging
500
trends
gigawatts
have
to the global
refocused
capacity.
our approach to strategic
55
partnerships
companies have now
as the key to
joined
optimizing
the
our
oil
entire
and
value
gas
chain
decarbonization
and growing
charter,
market share.
committing to zero methane
And in order
emissions by
to accelerate
2030
our progress,
and net zero
we seek
by or before 2050.
fast-acting partners who
This
can
initiative
deliver access
is
to
pragmatic,
high-growth economies.
practical, and
Forward-looking
focused
partners
on
who can
real
apply the
results.
latest technology to our upstream,
With participants
midstream,
from China,
and downstream operations,
India, Russia,
and
the
financially
US,
savvy partners,
the EU,
including
and the
private
Arabian Gulf.
equity for the first time in
OGDC
ADNOC, and
now
institutional
covers
investors
more than
who can
44%
deploy
of global
long-term
production.
capital for
It is
attractive
the most
and sustainable
meaningful
returns.
and comprehensive private
As a
sector
globally
partnership
connected
on
energy hub,
decarbonization
Abu
to
Dhabi
date.
and the
we
United
look
Arab
forward
Emirates
to more
provide our
companies
partners
joining this
with a
very
stable,
important
progressive,
initiative.
and opportunity-rich
In the
business
spirit
environment
of proactive
that will
collaboration,
become even more rewarding
earlier this month
in the months
in Abu
and
Dhabi,
years ahead.
we convened experts in climate,
Within ADNOC's
energy,
new expanded partnership
artificial
model
intelligence,
aimed at
finance,
realizing
and
our
investment
full potential
in an integrated
by
effort
unlocking value,
to drive
we are considering
low carbon growth.
the potential IPO of minority
sectors
stakes
work
in
together,
some of our services
we can
companies.
lift economies and lower
And allow me
emissions
just to be clear here. We can make climate
ADNOC,
and
the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, at the holding level,
at the same time.
will remain
And we
wholly
can turn
owned
declarations on
by
paper
one
into
single
decisive
shareholder, and that
action on the
is
ground.
the Abu Dhabi government. Excellencies, and optimizing production
The
of our
critical success
existing
factor for all climate
operations.
progress is finance.
We are also reshaping our offshore
continue
concession
to
to bring
call
in
on
more
all
value-add
sources,
partners
public
who can
and
apply
private,
new technology
to make
to further
finance
enhance recovery
more available,
and unlock
more accessible,
additional benefits.
and more affordable.
In
Altera,
downstream,
the
we are
world's largest
actively
global
seeking
catalytic
strategic
climate fund
partners
that was
as
launched
part
at
of our expanded
COPE29
approach
has now
to
placed
exploit
6.5
very promising
billion
synergies
of its
across
$30
our
billion
refining
US dollars
operations,
fund with
while we
partners
also aim
focused on
to
mature,
triple production
emerging,
of our
and developing
petrochemical
markets.
products, capturing
These
growth
investments
in the
are
highest
attracting
value
additional
segment
capital
of the energy
in a unique
industry today.
blended model that should be built
And in
on.
gas,
We have
we
also
are
made
tapping
progress
into our
on the loss and damage
undeveloped
fund.
gas reservoirs
$853
and expanding
million
production
US dollars have been
at our
pledged to
sour
date.
gas facility,
And we named
which is
the
already
Philippines
the
as
largest
the
of its
host
kind
country for the
in the
board.
world.
And let me call on every party who can
Ladies
to
and gentlemen,
contribute. And at this COP,
our strategy
the finance
represents our plan
I
for the
urge
future
all parties
to ensure we
deliver
remain
a
resilient
new collective quantified
and
goal
competitive
that is
in
robust
today's evolving
and
energy
capable
landscape.
of fully
And as we
implementing
adapt
the UAE
to the new
consensus.
normal, perhaps the biggest
Excellencies,
variable will continue to be
At COP28,
the
we
price of
broke
oil.
new ground and set
Yet,
many precedents.
by focusing our efforts on what
One
we
of the
can
most
control,
important
such as
precedents was the
enhancing
COP presidency's
our
troika,
capital efficiency,
a new mechanism for
optimizing
momentum
our
that
resources,
creates a bridge between COPs
and driving
28,
and ensuring
29,
value
and 30.
creation. We
The
will be
troika
able
is
to
mobilizing
manage
every
risk,
multilateral
drive
platform,
unit
from the
costs
UN
down,
to the G20,
and maximize
to solidify
returns.
the legacy of the UAE consensus.
In a world
It
where we
is
must
the roadmap
constantly adapt
for keeping
to
1.5
uncertainty.
within reach and
There are
aligned
key
with the
fundamentals
science.
we can always rely
And
on.
it is up to all parties
Demand for
to
energy is
drive
rising.
and deliver it.
The need for reliable supplies remains very critical,
Colleagues,
and our industry
partners,
will continue to be
and my
the
dear friends,
engine of economic
the
development
consensus we
for
achieved
decades to
in
come.
Dubai was truly historic.
So by working together
Yet history will
in a
judge us
smarter,
by our actions,
more creative
not
way,
by our words.
we can no doubt weather any
And my dear
challenge,
friend,
reinforce
Mukhtar,
our resilience, and
as I pass the
continue
gavel to you,
to drive
I
our
want you to
industry's
know
growth.
that you have
Thank
my
you for your
friendship,
attention.
my partnership, and my full support. And if I may, let me leave you with some final words of brotherly advice. Let positivity prevail and let it power the process. Let actions speak louder than words. Let results outlast the rhetoric. And remember, we are what we do, not what we say. On behalf of myself and the COP28 team, it has been my honor to serve. I have faith that COP29 here in Azerbaijan will be another great success. Together, and as your slogan says, let us act on solidarity for a green world. Let us focus on collaboration and partnership. And let us show the world that we have the determination to unite, the responsibility to act, and the will to deliver. I thank you.
For centuries, We've gathered to discuss and solve our most pressing challenges, united for the betterment of our people.
عندما التزمنا باستضافة كوب 28 التزمنا أيضاً بجمع العالم لكي نتحد.
The world is watching. We don't have time to waste. We must address this challenge head on.
At COP28, the UAE welcomed world leaders, business leaders, and thought leaders from nearly 200 nations to come together as one and change the course of history.
We must recognize the common language we must speak of, and it's one of unity, of inclusion, love, and empowerment.
For months, we worked non-stop and moved from talk to action, ushering in a new era of climate action.
We have delivered history today. The first time a decision has been adopted on day one.
The UAE consensus began as an impossible dream, but look where our dreams have taken us.
It is an enhanced, balanced, but make no mistake, historic package to accelerate climate action. It is the UAE consensus.
Through the Presidential Action Agenda, we found global solutions to global problems.
We are anchoring nature as an existential ally in our efforts to address climate change and advance development.
As the world gathers today in Azerbaijan, we stand together with hope renewed. And as we hand over to COP29, we must remember what it symbolizes. The simple truth that drives us forwards.
We are what we do, not what we say.
We are what we do, not what we say.
Dear delegates, I'd like to invite you to turn to sub-item 2A of document CP/2024/1/add.2, election of the President of the Conference of the Parties at its 29th session. In accordance with Rule 22, Paragraph 1 of the draft Rules of Procedure being applied, the office of the President of the Conference of the Parties is subject to rotation among the 5 regional groups. We continue the cycle with a President from the Eastern European states. And I am honored to propose that the Conference elects by acclamation His Excellency Mukhtar Babayev, who will serve as President of the Conference at its 29th session. It gives me great pleasure to declare His Excellency Mukhtar Babayev elected President of the 29th session of the Conference of the Parties. I congratulate His Excellency Babayev on his election. Allow me again to wish you every success in guiding the work of this conference. I would like to now invite His Excellency Babayev to take his seat at the podium.
Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, dear friends, welcome to Azerbaijan. Welcome to COPE29. It is wonderful to finally see you all here as we complete the first decade after the Paris Agreement. The COP29 presidency is deeply grateful to all the parties, constituencies, observers, civil society members, indigenous peoples, and committed climate actors joining us today. We will host this conference in an inclusive, transparent, and party-driven manner. And we are delighted to offer Azerbaijani hospitality, show you our national heritage and natural wonders. We hope to build new friendships based on sincerity, frankness, and mutual respect. We would like to thank the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Mr. Ilham Aliyev, for his active leadership and support for the COP29 team and the people of Azerbaijan who have worked day and night to welcome you to Baku. We also want to thank all our colleagues in the UNFCCC and Executive Secretary Mr. Simon Steele for the support. And thank you to my dear friend, COP28 President, Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber, for you and your team's collaboration. It is an honor to take the gavel from you as we build on the UAE consensus together. Ladies and gentlemen, we must be totally honest. The UN Environmental Programme shows that current policies are leading us to 3 degrees of warming. These temperatures would be catastrophic for billions. They would threaten the existence of communities representatives in this room. Colleagues, we are on the road to ruin. But these are not the future problems. Climate change is already here. From flooded homes in Spain to forest fires in Australia, from rising oceans in the Pacific to barren plains in East Africa. Whether you see them or not, people are suffering in the shadows. They are dying in the dark, and they need more than compassion, more than prayers and paperwork, and they're crying out for leadership and action. COP29 is an unmissable moment to chart a new path forward for everyone. The COP29 presidency has worked tirelessly to build the foundation for success. We have traveled the world to see the challenges you face, and we are resolved to produce an ambitious and balanced package that delivers on all mandates and takes the first global stocktake forward. We have made every effort to bring you together and build momentum. We have hosted political and technical sessions here in Azerbaijan, and we are already collaborating with you on the COP29 action agenda and presidency initiatives. But we need much more from all of you. We now want to be crystal clear about our expectations. Our plan is based on 2 pillars: to enhance ambition and enable action. This means setting out clear climate plans and delivering the finance we need. These 2 pillars are mutually reinforcing, each sending a strong signal to the other. Because as we mobilize climate finance, we allow for higher ambitions. And as we signal together higher ambition, we build trust to unlock greater financial commitments. Dear colleagues, to enable action, the COP29 presidency's top priority is to agree a fair and ambitious new collective quantified goal on climate finance. This must be effective and adequate to the scale and urgency of the problem. It must address the needs and priorities of developing countries, including seeds and LDCs. And it must include detailed qualitative elements. We have seen some progress on access, futures, transparency, and the 10-year time frame. We know the needs. We know that the needs are in trillions, but there are different views on how to achieve that. We have also heard that a realistic goal for what the public sector can directly provide and mobilize seems to be the hundreds of billions. The COPE29 presidency has made every effort to bring the parties close together. But we still have much to do and just 12 days to land a deal. We now urgently need to finalize the elements, resolve our differences on contributors and quantum, and set the new goal. These negotiations are complex and difficult. We understand the political and financial constraints. But let me make 2 points. First, these numbers may sound big, but they are nothing compared to cost of inaction. This investment pay off. And second, we are all in this together. Nothing has a greater impact on the security, prosperity, and well-being of all nations than climate change. Let us remember how a goal helps us. It will send a strong signal to financial markets, provide greater certainty for long-term planning, build trust and momentum for collective action, and hold us all to account. This goal is not a burden, it is an opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, we must invest today to save tomorrow. Dear colleagues, we are also determined to get Article 6 in high-integrity carbon markets over the line. Article 6 is long overdue and will help ensure that protecting the planet pays. By matching buyers and sellers efficiently, such markets could reduce the cost of implementing NDCs by $250 billion a year. In a world where every dollar counts, that is essential. We now need parties to show commitment and flexibility to resolve all outstanding issues. Dear colleagues, throughout COP29, there will be many moments to enable action. At the last board meeting in Baku, we took historic steps to get the Loss and Damage Fund up and running. It is now time to turn existing pledges into contributions and add significantly greater amounts to all funds. This is essential to supporting the communities most affected, including the seeds and LDCs. And enabling action is about more than just finance. We must also accelerate work to develop and transfer technology. These are life-saving tools that must be available to all. So we need to deliver on the technology implementation program here in Baku. Within the COP29 action agenda, we have opportunities for governments, the private sector, multilateral development banks, and everyone to play your part. Ladies and gentlemen, enabling action will create the means to reach our goals, a 1.5 aligned and resilient world. But we still need to define the ways to get there. First, we need to enhance ambition in the next round of NDCs. These plans are the last chance to put the world on track, and they should be informed by the first global stocktake. We are grateful to everyone who has already committed to producing 1.5 aligned NDCs. We need to get this right, and we need to get it done on time, including transitioning away from fossil fuels in a just and orderly manner, taking into account different national circumstances, pathways and approaches. Dear colleagues, as the world's highest climate forum, COP29 cannot and will not be silent on mitigation. Alongside with the International Energy Agency, we have today published calls to action in a just and orderly transition. We're calling on all parties to increase global energy storage by 6 times by 2030. We're addressing forgotten issues such as food waste, which accounts for almost 10% of global emissions. We are co-hosting a methane summit with the US and China, and we have put mitigation on the agenda at all meetings ahead of COP to find a way forward. As a presidency, we are making every effort to attack the problem from every direction without losing focus on our top negotiation priority, the NCQG. Dear colleagues, adaptation has not been given the same attention as mitigation. Azerbaijan understands the needs to adapt because our region faces significant challenges. The Caspian Sea is shrinking and we face glacier retreat and freshwater loss in Caucasus. The timely submission of national adaptation plans is critical. They guide how we share best practice, transfer technology, and support each other. We need them by 2025 so we can make progress by 2030. We will also support the work on indicators for the UAE framework for global climate resilience. When adaptation is underfunded, people on the front lines are unprotected. Public money will be essential to enabling ambitions. This is our last chance to scale it up significantly beyond the doubling target for 2025. And after, adaptation finance must be an important part of NCQG. Transparency must underpin everything. The first biennial transparency reports are critical and must be submitted this year. Azerbaijan is ready to submit its BTR, and we would like to thank everyone for their submissions so far. Dear colleagues, we must also address important thematic areas within the climate plans. They must be age and gender responsive, and we support the Lima Work Programme and its Gender Action Plan. The COP29 Action Agenda has identified further priorities for all actors to enhance their ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, when we consider the latest science and everything that we must deliver, from the NCQG to the next generation of NDCs and the first BTRs, COP29 is a moment of truth for the Paris Agreement. It will test our commitment to the multilateral climate system. We must now demonstrate that we are prepared to meet the goals we have set ourselves. This is not easy. We're setting these expectations because we believe they are absolutely necessary. This is a race of our lives. And we have previously agreed to always ratchet up our action to the highest possible levels of ambition. This means that we must do today that yesterday we thought was impossible. Azerbaijan stands ready. It is our moral duty and part of our common responsibility. And this is a critical opportunity for sustainable development. Azerbaijan is determined to step up to the biggest issues, on the biggest stages, and lead by example. We have beaten to odds before. People have doubted us. Let us prove them wrong. But no single country or initiative can solve this crisis. This is everyone's conference. Success or failure will be collective. So our message to you is this. Azerbaijan can build a bridge, but you all need to walk across it. In fact, we need to start running. Dear friends, we gather as representatives of different communities. But we must never forget our common humanity, our shared world, and the mutual benefits of collaboration. And in this fight, we must remember that every action matters, because every fraction of a degree matters. Every home we lose is failure. Every life we save is a victory. And everyone is watching, and they're waiting. Africa is waiting. Asia is waiting. Europe is waiting. The Pacific is waiting. North America is waiting. South America is waiting. The Caribbean is waiting. Ladies and gentlemen, they're waiting for us to show leadership. And they cannot afford the cost of delay. So let us enhance ambition and enable action. Let us move forward in solidarity for a green world. And let us go to work. Thank you.
This November, over 100 world leaders will assemble in Baku to tackle the most pressing issue of our time, climate change.
COPE29 will be the biggest event of this year.
We need to have these ambitious climate actions by countries in the world.
This is our common challenge, and we need to address it now.
As a host country, we have very unique opportunity to be the center of the discussions, to be the bridge between South and North, between the developing and developed countries.
Azerbaijan is investing in the energy transition because we are affected by climate change, because we want to diversify away from hydrocarbons.
Definitely green energy transition is really backbone of tackling the climate crisis that we are facing.
Our country has always been a home of innovation. We have a young, highly educated population that deeply cares about climate change.
Any visitor, any tourist, any delegate who will be visiting our beautiful city will see welcoming attitude, behavior from everyone. The ultimate objective is to deliver the best visitor journey ever.
I think it will be a very good demonstration of our hospitality, our culture, our nature.
We want people to look back and say that COP29 in Baku was a defining chapter in humanity's fight against climate change.
COP29 is really the great event for Azerbaijan, for the world. It is a very good demonstration how we decide to live together as neighbors. At the same time, how we can assist the developing countries to protect themselves from the climate change.
This November, Azerbaijan will bring the world together at COP29 for a better future for all humanity.
Distinguished delegates, friends, dear colleagues, it is my pleasure to invite Simon Steele, UNFCCC Executive Secretary, to address the plenary. Simon, you have the floor.
Excellencies, delegates, colleagues, friends, It is an honor to welcome you to COPE29. I thank Dr. Sultan Al Jaber and the Emirati Presidency for their tireless work as they pass the baton to President Babiev and Azerbaijan. In tough times, up against difficult tasks, I don't go in for hopes and dreams. What inspires me is human ingenuity and determination, our ability to get knocked down and to get up again, over and over again, until we accomplish our goals. The lady I'm standing with, this picture, is my neighbor Florence in Karakou. In July this year, this was us standing in all that remained of her home after the devastation of Hurricane Beryl. At 85, Florence has become one of the millions of victims of runaway climate change this year alone. She was focused on one thing: being strong for her family and strong for her community. And there are people like Florence in every country on earth, knocked down and getting back up again. This UNFCCC process is the only place we have to address the rampant climate crisis and to credibly hold each other to account, to act on it. And we know this process is working, because without it, humanity would be headed towards 5 degrees of global warming. In these halls, we negotiate on specific pieces of the puzzle each year. It can feel far away from what's happening in Florence's living room. We cannot afford to continue upending lives and livelihoods in every nation. So let's make this real. Do you want your grocery and energy bills to go up even more? Do you want your country to become economically uncompetitive? Do you really want even further global instability, costing precious life? This crisis is affecting every single individual in the world, one way or another. And I am as frustrated as anyone that one single COP can't deliver the full transformation that every nation needs. But if any of your answers to those questions was no, then it is here that parties need to agree a way out of this mess. That's why we're here in Baku. We must agree a new global climate finance goal. If at least 2/3 of the world's nations cannot afford to cut emissions quickly, then every nation pays a brutal price. If nations can't build resilience into supply chains, the entire global economy will be brought to its knees. No country is immune. So let's dispense with the idea that climate finance is charity. An ambitious new climate finance goal is entirely in the self-interest of every single nation, including the largest and the wealthiest. But it's not enough to just agree on a goal. We must work harder to reform the global financial system, giving countries the fiscal space they so desperately need. And here in Baku, we must get international carbon markets up and running by finalizing Article 6. We need to move on mitigation so targets from Dubai are realized. governments must claw them back. Clean energy and infrastructure investment will reach $2 trillion in 2024, almost twice that of fossil fuels. The shift to clean energy and climate resilience will not be stopped. Our job is to accelerate this and make sure its huge benefits are shared by all countries and all people. We must agree adaptation targets. You can't manage what you don't measure. And we need to know if we're on a pathway to increasing resilience. And we must continue to improve the new mechanisms for financial and technical support on loss and damage. We can't make decisions in the dark. Biennial transparency reports due this year will give us a clearer picture of the progress we're making and the gaps that we need to fill. This year, all countries will deliver their third generation of national climate plans, NDCs. To support countries in creating and communicating them, the UNFCCC will launch a climate plan campaign. It will mobilize action from all stakeholders and align with the efforts of the UN Secretary General and the incoming Brazilian COP presidency. In parallel, we'll restart climate weeks from 2025, aligning them more closely with our process and the outcomes it must deliver. As a Secretariat, we'll continue to work tirelessly with what we have got, while being clear on what funding we need so we can deliver on what's increasingly being asked of us. And we'll keep focus on the safe, inclusive, and meaningful participation of all observers at this COP. In the past few years, we've taken some historic steps forward. We cannot leave Baku without a substantial outcome. Appreciating the importance of this moment, parties must act accordingly. Show determination and ingenuity here at COP29. We need all parties to push for agreement right from the start, to stand and deliver. Now is the time to show that global cooperation is not down for the count. It is rising to the moment. So I urge you all, let us rise together. I thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Delegates, we will now suspend the session for final consultations on the adoption of the agenda. We will resume shortly.